The winner of the 2016 USA election will be Donald J. Trump.
Donald Trump would have won 371 seats to 159 against opponent Ted Cruz, whose platform would feature being hard on immigration and abolishment of the IRS. Donald Trump's platform would feature America being first and focusing on the working class. Some of the key battleground states include Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Florida, and Virginia. The choice in this election would come down to two very different visions for America. One focused on economic nationalism and trade reform, and the other on shrinking the size of government and cutting regulation. As a Democrat, Trump would aim to win over white working-class voters by emphasizing job creation, bringing back manufacturing, and challenging unfair trade deals. For Trump, running as a Democrat in 2016, one of the smartest vice presidential picks would be Jim Webb. Compared to high-profile names like Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, or Elizabeth Warren, Webb offers a much more centrist, stabilizing presence on the ticket. Bernie Sanders, while popular with progressives, would clash ideologically with Trump's economic nationalism, and the pairing could confuse voters on issues like immigration, gun rights, or trade. Joe Biden had strong name recognition and broad appeal, but pairing two older, outspoken candidates with alpha personalities might create tension rather than synergy. Elizabeth Warren, though a rising progressive star, would polarize moderate voters and could push working-class independents toward Cruz. In contrast, Webb brings military gravitas, experience, and a calm, disciplined tone, exactly what Trump would need to reassure skeptical Democrats, veterans, and independents that his campaign wasn't just about style, but also about serious governance. On the Republican side, Ted Cruz would face a similar balancing act. A top pick like Scott Walker gives him exactly what his campaign lacks: executive experience, Midwestern appeal, and a proven track record of conservative governance without the same level of controversy. Compared to other VP options, Walker stands out. Marco Rubio had charisma and appeal to younger and Latino voters, but pairing two first-term senators might raise concerns about inexperience. Mike Pence, who would eventually become Trump's real-world VP, had solid evangelical credentials but lacked national visibility in 2016. Chris Christie, though loyal and combative, brought scandal baggage and would clash with Cruz's moral, ideological tone. Walker, meanwhile, had already survived recall efforts, cut union power, and won 3 statewide elections, making him a battle-tested figure who could help Cruz in industrial swing states and reassure the GOP base with steady executive credibility. If Donald Trump had served as a Democrat from 2016 to 2020, his presidency would have focused heavily on economic nationalism, trade reform, and infrastructure investment, but from a center-left perspective. He likely would have pushed for renegotiated trade deals like a reworked NAFTA, tariffs to protect American manufacturing, and bipartisan infrastructure bills, all while maintaining support for some social safety nets like Medicare and Social Security. Trump may have faced friction with the progressive wing of the party, but his appeal to working-class voters and centrists could have reshaped the Democratic coalition. Immigration policy would still be tough, though framed as labor protection rather than nationalist rhetoric, and foreign policy would lean isolationist, emphasizing America first without the Republican emphasis on military intervention. Overall, his term would mark a dramatic shift in the Democratic Party's direction: populist, anti-establishment, and focused on middle-class economics over social progressivism.
In a turn of events, Donald J. Trump will once again be President of the United States.
In the alternate 2020 election, President Donald Trump wins re-election with a broad coalition of working-class voters, rural Democrats, and economically anxious independents, securing over 300 electoral votes against Republican challenger Mitt Romney, the former Massachusetts governor and 2012 Republican presidential nominee. Romney, a polished and experienced statesman, ran on a platform of restoring institutional norms, promoting free trade, supporting NATO alliances, and returning the Republican Party to its fiscally conservative, socially moderate roots. Compared to the 2016 election, where Trump first shocked the political world by flipping traditionally blue Rust Belt states, this victory represents a consolidation of his populist platform, now realigned under the Democratic banner. While Romney made gains in suburban and college-educated areas, especially in states like Virginia and Colorado, he was unable to pierce Trump's grip on white working-class voters in the Midwest and parts of the South. In the high-stakes 2020 election, voters were laser-focused on three urgent issues: the sluggish post-industrial economy, rising healthcare costs, and growing fears about global instability. President Trump, running as a Democrat, doubled down on economic nationalism, promising to expand tariffs, rebuild domestic manufacturing, and invest heavily in American infrastructure, casting himself as the last defender of the working class. His opponent, Republican Mitt Romney, countered with a return to free market principles, pledging tax reform, deregulation, and re-engagement with global trade allies to stabilize markets and reduce inflation. On healthcare, Trump pitched a populist fix, expanding public options without full Medicare for all, while Romney offered a market-based model with tax credits and competition. With the world on edge, voters faced a stark choice: a bold, combative incumbent reshaping the Democratic Party around labor populism, or a steady traditional Republican promising a return to economic order and international cooperation.
The vice presidential picks added even more drama to the 2020 showdown. President Trump, seeking to solidify his dominance among blue-collar voters, chose Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, a progressive-leaning populist with deep union ties and Midwestern credibility. Brown's reputation for fighting for workers' rights and his grounded, no-nonsense demeanor balanced Trump's firebrand style, helping the ticket shore up Rust Belt battlegrounds. On the Republican side, Mitt Romney tapped former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, a rising star with foreign policy chops and strong support among suburban moderates and party traditionalists. President Trump, serving his second term as Democrat, responded with a mix of economic nationalism and transactional diplomacy. He doubled down on tariffs against China, restructured trade deals to prioritize American manufacturing, and took a hardline stance on NATO allies, demanding increased defense spending. At the same time, he avoided costly foreign interventions, favoring negotiation and leverage over boots on the ground. Voters watched as Trump reshaped America's global role, no longer the world's police force, but a fortress of economic self-reliance and selective engagement. His approach polarized the public. To some, it was bold realism. Imagining a world where Donald Trump remained a Democrat reshapes everything we thought we knew about modern American politics. From flipping the Democratic Party on its head to dominating the national conversation through economic populism and unapologetic nationalism, Trump's alternate path shows how personality, timing, and strategy can redefine party lines. His two-term presidency would leave a deep imprint on both domestic and global affairs.